There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things. The Holocaust is not what happened. Let's look at the facts of that.
Jewish people, forgive Hitler today. Let it go.
Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. How about that one?
Dear Kanye West, anti-Semitism is not cool. In fact, it should not and cannot be tolerated anywhere, any place, or anytime. Let me explain. The definition of anti-Semitism is hostility to or prejudice against Jewish people. In other words, Jew hatred. Some people have stood up for you and said that your public statements against the Jews weren't real, or you didn't know what you're talking about, or you didn't really mean it. Since you followed up with more anti-Semitic statements since then, however, we're forced to believe that you really are prejudiced against the Jewish people. You see, the reason why the Jewish people have to take these threats against them so seriously is that they're used to this kind of rhetoric being the precursor to violence, and many times death against them and their people. Regardless of whether or not you meant actual violence against Jews when you tweeted DEFCON 3 on the Jews, your hateful speech may very easily lead to actual violence against Jews. You see, there's a history here, and I'm not just talking about the Holocaust. Ever since the Jewish people were kicked out of their nation and dragged into slavery by the Romans in 70 AD, they've been kicked from country to country, never finding a place to call their homeland and always enduring persecution. The Catholics tried to force the Jews to convert to Christianity. Kiss the cross or die, they said. Jews were tortured and killed in pogroms and inquisitions by the masses. Martin Luther, the father of the Protestant Reformation, after unsuccessfully trying to convert the Jews to Protestantism, said, "Set fire to their synagogues or schools." He went on to say that Jewish homes should be razed and destroyed, and Jewish prayer books and Talmudic writings in which such idolatry, lies, cursing, and blasphemy are taught should be taken from them. Many believe that Luther's words were part of Adolf Hitler's inspiration for the ultimate persecution of the Jewish people. Hitler enacted the final solution in which he called for the complete and utter annihilation of the Jews. He nearly succeeded when 6 million Jews were brutally gassed in the killing camps of the Holocaust. It would be ludicrous to consider that Hitler was a Christian, however, he professed Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, and ultimately, he was never excommunicated from the Catholic Church. Speaking of the Holocaust, you made no secret of the fact that you took Nick Fuentes to dinner with former President Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Fuentes is an avid Holocaust denier, making fun of those who actually believe that 6 million Jews were killed in the gas chambers of Nazi Germany. Despite all odds, the Jewish people are still here. Less than a century after the devastation of the Holocaust, the Jewish people are not only still alive, but they are thriving inside their own nation in the land of Israel. The Jewish people are here to stay, but the sad reality that the world still hates them is always at the top of their mind. God made a covenant with Abraham, one that he said would last for eternity. That promise is still valid today. The only question is, what will our response as Christians be to that promise that God made so long ago? You see, for the Jewish people, anti-Semitism nearly always leads to violence. And for the Jewish people, violence nearly always leads to Jews dying, whether in Israel or America. It's been happening for the last 2,000 years and unfortunately continues to happen today. For people who profess to be Christians, is it any wonder that the Jewish people don't trust us? When we spew vile statements and associate ourselves with Holocaust deniers, is it any wonder that the Jewish people don't brace themselves for more violence and hate against their land and people? So the decision is up to us. Will we join our forefathers, whether from the Catholic Church or from Protestantism, who blamed, spewed hatred, condemned, tortured, and ultimately killed the Jewish people? Or will we go against the rising tide of anti-Semitism, take an unpopular stance, and align ourselves with the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the promise that God made to a nation and a people? The Jewish people have stood the test of time, and no matter what, they will not only survive, they will thrive. The only question is, will we stand with them? The choice is ours. Just after I published this video last week here at the Israel Guys, and I mean literally I woke up the next morning here in Israel and Kanye West was trending yet again. I mean the timing couldn't have been crazier because we published the video that you just saw, wake up the next morning, and as you've probably seen, unless you've been hiding in a hole somewhere, Kanye West went on the Alex Jones's show podcast along with Nick Fuentes, and let's suffice it to say that he made both of them look like moderates. Now, I was researching today because I feel like this topic is important to address as it is related to the Jewish community and to Israel. And I was researching. You just type in Kanye West on YouTube, Google, it is all over. And I actually looked on Twitter, and hashtag Kanye is trending in Israel. So you've probably heard and seen a lot of the news and clips from this absolutely bizarre interview. You saw a couple of clips just now. But the reason I feel it's important to address this topic on our channel is because how it is related to anti-Semitism or Jew hatred, because this is one topic that is so important, so sensitive, and so hot button-ish that we can't ignore it and we cannot stay silent as a response. One thing from this absolutely bizarre media appearance that Kanye West, or Ye, as he likes to be called, one thing that is very, very clear is that he's very sick, messed up, and has serious mental and possibly serious health problems. So, in case you have been hiding in a hole somewhere and haven't seen what's been happening, you saw a couple of clips. Kanye West went on the podcast with Alex Jones along with Nick Fuentes, and he made multiple comments about how much he liked Hitler, how much he liked the Nazis, how much good they had brought to the world. And not only that, but just did some other crazy, bizarre things. Maybe we can put up a couple of quick clips right here just so you can get a sense of how absolutely nuts this was.
But look,
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis. I like Hitler.
I don't like Hitler. And I know you're trying to be shocking with that.
I'm not trying to be shocking. I like Hitler. Netanyahu, what do you have to say? It was bad. It was bad for Trump to meet with Nick and Ye.
I want to read a couple of the things that he said, because if he didn't actually say it, and the crazy thing is, Alex Jones, as controversial as he is, he was literally trying to rein Kanye West back in, and he tried to make it clear, like, you don't really love Hitler, you don't really like the Nazis, and Kanye West kept doubling down. Nope, I like them. Nope, they've done some really good things. We can't ignore this stuff. Here's a couple of quotes that I jotted down from watching this bizarre experience. Kanye West said, "Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table." And then he kind of paused for a dramatic effect. And then he said, "Especially Hitler." We're talking about Adolf Hitler here. Another quote he said, "I like Hitler." Then he repeated himself and he said it again. "I like Hitler. The Holocaust is not what happened. Let's look at the facts of that. Hitler has a lot of redeeming qualities." Now, when he was in the news before for having dinner with former President Donald Trump along with Nick Fuentes, everybody was criticizing him and Trump for actually being associated with Nick Fuentes, because Fuentes is an avid Holocaust denier. If you look up a video of him denying the Holocaust, he just goes through this crazy, bizarre analogy about cookies in the oven, and he outright claims that not nearly as many people as everyone claims were killed in the Holocaust, and just an outright Holocaust denier. But then Kanye West comes right out and says, let's look at the facts, that the Holocaust is not what happened. Then he goes on to say Hitler has a lot of redeeming qualities. He also said, "I don't like the word evil next to Nazis." Now, I mean, Nazis were the epitome, the very definition of evil. And he goes on to clearly say, "I don't like the word evil next to Nazis." He said, "I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis." That's also an oxy. I mean, those two do not go together in the same sentence. And he also went on to say that, speaking of the Nazis, they did good things too. We're going to stop going all over the Nazis all the time. Basically saying they did some good things. We can't ignore. He's talking about inventions they did, Hitler's inventions, how much he liked his stuff. It was just absolutely bizarre. So clearly, and I watched some of the responses from Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, different personalities talking about this. So I don't want to make this all about Ye or Kanye West, because it's not really about, because he's clearly having a mental health breakdown, okay? By the way, he left that interview and went and tweeted a Star of David combined with a swastika. So he's having mental issues, health issues, and obviously believes a lot of conspiracy theories and is publicly saying that. But some people are saying That's not a reason to ban. He did get banned from Twitter right after this interview, by the way, but people are saying that's not a reason for him to get banned from public platforms, as he has not called for any outright violence, because that's what free speech is. Even if we disagree with it, even if we don't like it, free speech is that you can say whatever you want, right? Even if it's not true. Now, you can make a really good argument that he did actually call for violence, but I want to talk about this specific issue, okay? Some issues are debatable. Some issues, yes, free speech. If you disagree with me, you're free to say that in a public place. I'm free to present my side of it, right? And most issues should fall under that free speech, meaning we don't have to agree, and you're free to voice whatever side of the issue that you're on, whatever you believe in. Anti-Semitism, also known as Jew hatred, and support for Hitler and the Nazis, that's not one of these issues. We should not be bringing this into the question of free speech. Why? Because the definition of these words ultimately leads to violence. And as I said in my video, in my monologue, it's not just the Holocaust. We're also talking about the pogroms, the Inquisition, the expulsions from countries that it's basically what the Jewish people have faced for 2,000 plus years. Anti-Semitism has always led to violence and ultimately led to the Jewish people being kicked from country to country to country and never being able to have their own, being free to live their lives until they finally made it to the land of Israel, right? And this year particularly, anti-Semitism has been rising at alarming rates, and whether in Israel or internationally, the Jewish people have been constantly under attack all year long. And that anti-Semitism has led to violence and more violence. In Israel, there's been an increase in terrorist attacks, and internationally, the Jewish communities have not been safe anywhere where they live. So, this is not about whether Ye or Kanye West is a good or a bad man, or whether he's okay or whether he's mentally unstable. His crazy, crazy rhetoric that he is spewing publicly, though, will definitely make Jew hatred, which Jew hatred is another term for anti-Semitism, more prevalent. And in the Jewish people's experience, anti-Semitism nearly always leads to violence. Now, I know some proponents of free speech, even people on the conservative side of the issue, will probably disagree with me here, but anti-Semitism nearly always leads to violence. Even if that's not what is meant by this hateful rhetoric or whatever it is, it's the inspiration for people that are actually against the Jewish people and against Israel. It's inspiration and encouragement for them to actually carry out violence. And we've already seen some of the results of this. So what does this mean? When anti-Semitism and this is why I do not want to make this about the crazy rhetoric that Kanye West is spewing. When anti-Semitism and Jew hatred rises, as it has been around the world all for the last year and more, it's the responsibility of people like us, Israel lovers, people that support Israel and the Jewish people, to go against that rising tide. We're already seeing more and more public anti-Semitism around the world. So our job is to voice our support of Israel and the Jewish people and our condemnation of anti-Semitism. Let's not make this about whether or not Jew haters should have a public platform or whether they should be let's not worry about that. Let's worry about what we're doing on the opposite side to come against that Jew hatred and that anti-Semitism, whether it's coming against Israel and the Jewish people that live here, or whether it's coming against the Jewish people that live all around the world. The conclusion is that the murder of 6 million Jews in the Holocaust, that only happened like about 75 years ago. It's our job to make sure that it never, ever happens again. Anti-Semitism equals Jew hatred, and Jew hatred is not okay anywhere, anytime, or any place. Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our normal content. We're here multiple times every single week with a news program straight from the heartland of Israel. Remember to tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel.